What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing wonderful. I know that it's been a minute since I've been on, and I'm sorry about that. I'm not even going to go through the spiel with you, but I wanted to jump on here with you and talk to you about some articles that I read that really, really disturbed me. Those of you that have watched my videos, if you remember the plan that I went over with you, I know I bring that up a lot, but the reason why I keep bringing that up is because I want you to understand that all of these things are connected. Everything that we're seeing that's happening in our societies and our communities and our lives right now, it totally 100% fits with that plan. That is going to be the outcome if these people get their way. Okay? So, some of these articles, which I'm going to talk about at the end, are literally perverted, they are demented, they are disturbing, and they involve our children. Remember in the plan what they want for our kids. If you don't remember or you haven't seen that video, I would encourage you to go and watch it. I'll link it down below so that anybody who hasn't seen it or you just need a quick link to get to it, it'll be there. Because it's that video right there literally describes exactly what our world is going to look like if these people have their way. People like Gargoyle Schwab here. He looks like a gargoyle to me. But anyways, so yeah, I'll get into those articles about the kids and everything towards the end. But first, what I wanted to do was I came across this article here. It's by RT. Well, you can't see it because of my face. Let's see if I can. There it is, RT. Anyway, so this article right here I thought was so good at really showing you the connection between the things that are happening right now to the Great Reset. The cancel culture, the BLM Antifa riots, this whole digital book burning stuff, which I don't think is in this article, but that is part of it. The big tech media censorship, all of it, all of it, all of it. It is the Great Reset. That is the thing that you have to understand. All the chaos, okay, all the chaos, all these disturbing things, all these crazy activist, weird, depraved ideologies that they're bringing into our kids' lives in the school system, you know, in the workplace, you know, this whole, I probably shouldn't say it, but I will, just to be clear, critical race theory, you know, all these things that they're bringing in, that is the reset. And people have to make that connection. That is what it is. Every bit of it is the reset. Okay? And then all these things that they're doing are going to lead somewhere. They're going to lead to a specific kind of world, all right, which is a dystopia. That's what it's going to be. For us. Not for them. For us. But that is what they want. Remember, they are the predator class elite, all right? They don't think like we do. They don't eat like we do. They don't walk like us. They don't talk like us. They don't work like us. They don't live like us, sleep like us, breathe. They don't do anything like we do. They cannot relate to us in any way. The way that they see us is that we are useless eaters. All we're doing is taking up space. All we're doing is breathing up all the air. You know, we're overpopulating everything, which if you're a Christian like me, goes completely against what the scripture says in Genesis. God specifically said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth. That is what he wanted. Okay? There are people out there who will argue this. There's Christians that will argue this, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. I'm not saying that there are not certain areas in the world that don't have too many people. Look at China. I mean, come on. You know, yes, that I do agree with. I think that people probably should be spread out a little bit more, not be so on top of each other. But as far as to say that we've just taken up all the land in the world and we're running out of space and this and that and the other, while Bill Gates is over here owning, you know, more farmland than anybody else in the United States, any other, you know, like private citizen. I mean, come on. You know, he's the biggest farmland owner in the United States now. But then he's going to turn around and say that we have an overpopulation problem. Do you see the hypocrisy? That is what these people are. They're hypocrites. All they want is us out of the way. Their plan is to corral us into these smart cities where they can track us, trace us, know our every movement, control every single thing that we do, and then we're out of their way. That is what they want. And that is what they're going to get if we don't do something about it. Now, I would encourage you, if you're somebody who just happens across this video and don't really know much about anything I'm talking about, I would encourage you to stop thinking about your damn self for 5 minutes and start thinking about your kids, because ultimately they're the ones who are going to be left behind in this show that they have planned for this world. That is what they want, a subservient, obedient slave class. That is what they want, okay? That's what they tried to get with us, with our generation, my generation, and the rest. But thank God, there are a few of us who aren't completely programmed and aren't completely indoctrinated and can actually think for themselves and can think logically and critically and be open-minded about things and know better when we see a bunch of crap like this that isn't leading to anything good. But I digress. I'm gonna take a breath and let's get on with it. Most of you here probably already know what you need to know about the Great Reset, okay? But I just would encourage you to remember that I'm doing this for people who might not know these things, okay? So just bear with me on it. So this right here, we're going to just read over this article and see what he has to say, because the connections that he makes are really good, and I think he explains a lot of things. This was written February 21st, 2021, so less than a month ago. Right here he's talking about Buddha stuff, but let's go down here and we're going to start right here. So what is the Great Reset? Rather than yielding to the comments below or to the so-called conspiracy theories banded about on the web, let's take the language of Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum at face value and go from there. We shall see that our concern about the Great Reset is not, after all, as the New York Times would have it, a baseless conspiracy theory. The Great Reset is the decades-old brainchild of Schwab and Company. But only within the past year has the Great Reset gained a foothold in public consciousness and become the almost universally recognized agenda of the World Economic Forum and, by extension, of corporations and world governments. In their book, The Great COVID-19, The Great Reset, WEF founder and executive chairman Klaus Schwab and Terry Mullerit write that the COVID-19 crisis should be regarded as an opportunity that can be seized to make the kind of institutional changes and policy choices that will put economies on the path toward a fairer, greener future. See that? The Great Resetters have been there all the time, just waiting to seize on something to justify their plans. If climate change didn't work, then COVID damn well better. And they are working night and day to make sure it does. That's the truth. They're not letting up. But just how do they mean to go about the Great Reset? Well, we're going to find out. The Stakeholder Economy. To usher in fairness, the Great Reset aims to reset the economy to stakeholder capitalism. See, they're going to change our entire economy. It's not going to be capitalism, free market. It's not going to be that anymore. Now they're going to change it to stakeholder capitalism as a replacement for shareholder capitalism. Stakeholder capitalism involves the consideration of customers, suppliers, employees, and local communities, in addition to shareholders in the business operations of the world's major corporations and governments. A stakeholder is any one or any group that stands to benefit or lose from corporate behavior, other than competitors, we may suppose. Stakeholder capitalism involves changes to the behavior of corporations with respect to carbon use, but also in terms of the distribution of benefits and externalities or detriments that corporations produce. By fairness, the Great Reset means much more than the equitable distribution of goods and detriments in terms of environmental justice. According to the WEF, corporate responsibility must be redefined in terms of social justice as well. This includes compensation to Black people, the indigenous, and people of color, or BIPOC. In addition to BIPOC, special stakeholders also include LGBTQ plus persons as well. Guess who is going to pay for all this environmental and social justice? That's right, you. But don't worry, you'll just have to give up your property. Remember, the World Economic Forum put out a clip, and I should have got the clip for this. I could look it up, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. The World Economic Forum put out basically a clip. They did an article as well, but they stated that by 2030, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. They want you to rent everything, okay? They don't want you to own a car. They don't want you to own a home. They don't want you to own land. They don't want you to own appliances. They don't want you to own clothes. Yes, clothes. I said clothes. Okay? So think about that. Think about that. But the question is, how did they get you to give that up? Well, this article will go into that just a little bit on how they're going to do that in one way, but it's not the only way. So let's just keep going. Corporate socialism. I can now name the evil socio-economic system aimed at by the Great Reset, corporate socialism. Fairness, you see, means an equality without property for the masses. Welcome to my city, or should I say our city, writes a blogger for the World Economic Forum. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't own any appliances or any clothes. This report from 2030 is, quote, not a utopia or dream of the future, end quote, we are told. Yet the future just so happens to meet all the criteria of the Great Reset. Moreover, this propertyless future makes perfect sense to the city dweller of 2030 when property has become unnecessary due to the conversion of most goods into services. You see that? That's what they want to do. They want to convert. I kept wanting to say they want to converse. They want to convert most goods into services. But what of the corporate producers of goods and services? We must assume that their ownership will not be disrupted. Of course not. After all, corporations still need to produce the services that the city dwellers enjoy. While the city dwellers will own nothing, they will still need to pay for the services made available by what can only be a corporate oligarchy, which will hold a veritable monopoly over production. After all, where could competition come from when the majority owns nothing? Say that again. After all, where could competition come from when the majority owns nothing? This is corporate socialism. Wokeness and cancel culture. This brings us to the first element explained in terms of the Great Reset. As defined by true believers, wokeness is enhanced awareness of social and political injustice and the determination to eradicate it. But what could wokeness have to do with the Great Reset? First of all, wokeness is not aimed at the sufferers whose complaints or imagined complaints it means to redress. Wokeness works on the majority, the supposed beneficiaries of injustice. You, me, anybody who's white. It does so by making the majority understand that it has benefited from privilege and preference based on birthplace, skin color, gender, sexual proclivity, gender identity, and the domination of nature, etc. This majority must be rehabilitated, as it were. The masses must understand that they have gained whatever advantages they have hitherto enjoyed on the basis of the unfair treatment of others, either directly or indirectly. The privilege of the majority has come at the expense of those minorities designated as the beneficiaries of wokeness, and wokeness is the means for rectifying these many injustices. And what are the effects of being repeatedly reprimanded as such, of being told that one has been the beneficiary of an unmerited privilege, that one's relative wealth and well-being have come at the expense of oppressed, marginalized, and misused others? Shame, guilt, remorse, unworthiness. The solution is to give up your property. Now, I want you to think about that. The solution is to give up your property. I'm going to read this next little paragraph right here, and then I'll tell you what I was going to say. Cancel culture is a tool of wokeness, a weapon for debunking the privileged, a leveling perfectly aligned with stripping you of your property. Cancel culture not only reduces the status of its victims, but also serves a premonitory role for others, the onlookers of cancellations. They learn that they counter woke ideology at their own peril. Yeah, you better not talk back against it, because yeah, not going to be good. Cancel culture keeps the majority in line as wokeness erases their privilege, drawing down the majority into the propertyless future. Now, I want you to think about something. A lot of people might read that and think, yeah, but how does that bring them into a propertyless future? Well, I want you to think about this. Think about I know I saw many videos of just normal, average people like me. I know I saw one of a lady walking down the street, minding her own business. I think she had like a shopping bag or something. Maybe it was her purse. I can't remember what she was carrying, and a drink or something. But she's walking down the sidewalk in the city. She's just minding her own business, and this African-American gentleman came out to her and said, basically, you have privilege and you need to get on your knees and apologize to me for all the privilege that you have. And she did it. She did it right there. And I may not be getting the story completely right, but it was basically, he told her, because of your privilege, you need to get down and apologize to me. And she did. He said, you need to beg for forgiveness. And she absolutely did it. Now, when you do that to somebody, you know, what if they're willing to give up their own dignity over something that they didn't have anything to do with? Some stranger on the street, you're willing to give up your own dignity, your own self-respect, you're willing to give that up. What else are you willing to give up? Do you see where these things lead? Now, me, in my personal opinion, I think, okay, sure, this definitely could be a part of it. It could lead to that. I can see what he's saying. I guess sort of in the sense that when you look at some of these people who have been canceled, a lot of them aren't going to be able to find jobs and stuff anymore. A lot of them are going to have a really hard time getting anybody to work with them and stuff like that. But what I think is going to happen, I think the biggest thing that they're going to use is debt forgiveness. I think that's going to be the main, that's going to be their main tool that they use to get people to give up property rights, is debt forgiveness. Because there's so many people who are so far in debt struggling right now and cannot pay it back, will never be able to pay it back. So yeah, I think debt forgiveness is how they're going to get people to sign onto their systems and give up their property rights. And once they got you, they got you. You're done. All right, lockdowns and riots. The COVID-19 lockdowns, and to a lesser extent the leftist riots, have been moving us toward the corporate socialism of the Great Reset. The draconian lockdown measures employed by leaders of nation-states, regions, and cities, and the destruction perpetrated by the rioters just so happen to be doing the work that corporate socialists like the World Economic Forum and their collaborators want done. Remember, I've been saying all of this from the get-go. Everything that they're doing is a tool. They want these businesses shut down. They don't want them to be open. And one thing that I think everybody needs to start understanding, everybody keeps hollering Constitution and Bill of Rights, but we have a Constitution and a Bill of Rights. They can't go against our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. They're doing it. They're doing it. They don't care anymore. They're not concerned anymore. They're going to do what they want right in your face, and they do not care. And the majority of, or I should say it this way, they're getting around the Constitution and the Bill of Rights by going through the corporations to do what they want done. They're making these corporations and these businesses do their bidding for them. And a lot of the corporations, like the leaders of these big corporations, a lot of them, I believe, are in on it. They want the same thing that the elite want. You know what I'm saying? Like, they think they're better than us too. Not all of them. I don't think all of them do. I think a lot of them have been caught up in this situation, and they've got these activists and these groups and these people just throwing racism and this and all these ideologies at them and da-da-da, and if you don't go along with what we want and yada yada. And they know if we don't do this, our corporation's going down. Like, what do we do? You know, we have all these employees that work for us. You know, like, we're going to lose everything we have if we don't go along with it. Then they bow down to the woke mob instead of putting their damn foot down and saying, take your ideologies and shove it, you know. We haven't been racist towards you. We're trying to sell soda. You know what I'm saying? We're selling soap, like Dove. Dove is now not going to put, like on shampoo and soap and stuff like that, they're not going to put for normal or dry hair anymore. Now they're just going to put for dry hair on it. They're going to take normal out of it because they don't want anybody offended, thinking that they're abnormal. I mean, come on. I can't make this crap up. You know what I'm saying? This is ridiculous, but that's what I'm talking about. They are bowing down to these people because they're weak. They're weak and they don't know what else to do, or they're in on it. They're in on it. That's about all I know. Okay, so where did I leave off? Towards a great reset. Okay, draconian lockdown measure the collaborators want done. In addition to destabilizing nation states. Remember, I told you over and over again. The New World Order. What is the New World Order? These people They want a one world government. That means one government to rule the entire world. Okay? They don't want individual nations anymore. No more national sovereignty. Okay? They don't want national sovereignty anymore. That is the reason why they're attacking the idea of being a patriot and loving your country and being a freedom-loving person, and they don't want that anymore. And that is why they're coming after these ideas and this way of life that we've had for so long. They have to destroy these traditions and values that we've held because they don't hold up with a one world government. Why do you think Joe Biden wants to open the border? Because the one world government that they want to create, that they are creating, using the Great Reset to destroy everything that we love and know and the way we live and everything, they're using the Great Reset to do it. Why do you think he wanted to open the borders? Because the agenda is open borders. There are no, when you don't have individual nations and all that stuff, your borders are open to anybody. That is what they're doing. And once you understand their ultimate goal, everything that's happening around you makes perfect sense. That's why it irritates me when I see videos of people and they're like, what the hell are we doing to our kids? And, you know, what's going on? Why are they doing this? And why are they pushing those policies? And why are they trying da-da-da-da-da and yada, yada, yada? And, you know, nothing about coronavirus. It's getting hot in here. Nothing about coronavirus makes any sense and all that. No, it doesn't make sense because there's a greater agenda. Because everything that they're doing is to fulfill that main goal of a one world government. And I want to say this one more thing before I move on. I'm sorry. Those of you who have been watching my videos for a while, y'all know I get off on little rants like this sometimes where I feel like I have to explain myself. Bear with me here. Understand something. We have to get past this left-right paradigm. It's an illusion. It's an illusion, okay? These people, the predator class elites who are bringing in this great reset of chaos, basically great chaos, to bring in their one world government and their new world order, they are trying to eliminate the need for a president. That is one reason why they wanted Joe Biden. I believe that what they're going to do is somehow, some way, it's basically going to be like, well, you know, either he's going to step down or something is going to happen with that situation, and they're going to basically say, well, what need do we really have? Where's the need for a president? Because ultimately, in the Great Reset plans that they have, in the Great Reset Agenda 21, which is the same thing, it's one and the same, okay, what they want are basically commissions, like a group of people that would run certain regions in the United States. That's what they want to transform us into. So we don't need one leader for the nation anymore. Because we're going to have one leader for the one world government. I don't know who. I don't know how that's going to play out, but I'm just saying. They have already stated that there's going to be a commission that runs, a group of people that run the United States. They want to break it up into different regions. So it's not like 50 states, the United States anymore. It's like, I've heard 7 regions and I've heard 10 regions. They want to put us in 10 regions. I'm just saying, We've got to start remembering these things. I think that's one reason why they wanted him, because they knew that he was going to deteriorate. Anyways, we'll see how that pans out. But I'm just telling you, in their own documentation, they have already stated themselves that they want us to break up into regions, and we have a commission that runs everything. No president, no vice president, no Senate, no House, no none of those things. The government as we know it, our United States government as we know it, is not going to be the same anymore. That is if they get their way, which it's looking like it's going down that road because nobody's paying attention. I mean, there are a lot of people who are doing something about it. I can't say nobody's paying attention, but there's a lot of people who are complicit. There's a lot of people who are just not paying attention to what's going on. We got to wake them up fast. In addition to destabilizing nation states, these policies are helping to destroy small businesses, thus eliminating competitors. Also, putting people out of jobs who have to, in turn, depend on the government. Watch for a UBI coming soon, which I think they're already trying to pass with that new act they just put out, and I can't remember what it's called. What is that called? The Rescue America Act? Rescuing America Act? I believe that's it. As small businesses have been crushed by the combination of draconian lockdowns and riotous lunacy, corporate giants like Amazon have thrived like never before. That's information that most of you already know. Likewise, the lockdowns and riots have done much work toward resetting the economy in the direction of the Great Reset. Everything they're doing is going towards the Great Reset. You see what I'm saying? They have eliminated competition for the corporate state oligarchs and moved us in the direction of the two-tiered neo-feudalistic corporate socialist economy. Big tech censorship and media propaganda. As would-be monopolists, big tech stands to gain directly from the Great Reset agenda. The big tech cartel attempts to eliminate competition and competing views is of a piece with these monopolistic consolidation efforts. Big tech and mainstream media aid the Great Reset agenda through censorship and the dissemination of propaganda. So they shut people up so we can't wake people up to what's going on, and they disseminate their propaganda to push their narrative further until we're so far gone that we can't turn anything around, because by then anybody who does wake up, it's too freaking late. But they know this. Mainstream and social media censor all views that run contrary to the promoted official narratives regarding climate change, COVID, systemic racism, transgenderism, woke ideology, cancel culture, and all the other essential narrative elements for the Great Reset. And it openly gaslights those who seek and find evidence that runs contrary to these narratives. And that is the honest-to-God truth. The censorship's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's bad. And then look at Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss? I mean, look, there are people standing in bread lines, homeless right now, and you're bitching over Dr. frickin' Seuss? There is a bigger agenda. It's that simple. So easy to see. So the conclusion of this article: if you aren't yet convinced that the Great Reset is the source of all your suffering, you should be. For the Great Reset is not a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy fact. And you, my friends, are the ones having your lives reset according to its precepts. That's the honest-to-God truth. I don't know what more. I thought this was a great article. I thought it explained things pretty good, and it made a lot of connections that maybe somebody watching may not realize, may not know. The next thing I wanted to show you is this. The Great Reset is coming for the currency. This is FXStreet. Can't see it through my fat head again. There it is. FXStreet.com. Great Reset is coming for the currency. This is March 2nd, 2021. And I thought this was important because I want people to realize, you know, this is a given. Anybody who knows anything about the Great Reset, you know it's coming. It's coming. It's been coming for a while, but it's like on our doorstep now. As the Great Reset proceeds from globalist think tanks and technology billionaires to allied media elites, governments, schools, and woke corporations, what will be reset next? Supporters of the World Economic Forum's all-encompassing Great Reset agenda are eyeing big changes for the global monetary system. Plans that might once have been dismissed as pure speculation or conspiracy theories are now being openly pushed by people who occupy the highest levels of power, of course, because they all think that they're better than us. They all think that they know better than us. They think they know how to run our lives better than we do. President Joe Biden, for anybody who doesn't understand that Joe Biden's in on all this crap, President Joe Biden's economic policies were grafted directly from the Build Back Better language of the Great Reset's authors. And check this out. This is from theconversation.com. This was January 22nd, 2021, Davos 2021, talking about the Great Reset, right? They were going to meet up. They were going to do their virtual thing. I want to scroll down here real quick and just show you what this says. The World Economic Forum seeks action across 7 key themes: environmental sustainability, fairer economies, tech for good, the future of work, and the need for reskilling, better business, healthy futures with fair access for all, and beyond geopolitics, national governments collaborating globally. One world government. But this is what I wanted to point out. To anybody who thinks Joe Biden is not a Great Reset pusher, Build Back Better is the same slogan, is the slogan of the Great Reset. Build Back Better. I just read that to you right here in this. President Joe Biden's economic policies were grafted directly from the Build Back Better language of the Great Reset's authors. Now, Joe Biden's presidential campaign slogan was Build Back Better because he's working for the World Economic Forum and the United Nations to push the Great Reset. The World Economic Forum says the key is reestablishing public trust, which is being eroded in part due to the perceived mishandling of the coronavirus. And that's a quote. And that's a crock of crap. I personally believe that they're the ones who put it out on us. This. I believe that this was an intentional thing. Nobody's ever going to convince me any different. There is no way that it's just a coincidence that all of a sudden this time is the time that we need a Great Reset. Why not with H1N1? Why not with the swine flu? Why not with the smallpox? Why not with any of these other so-called pandemics that we had? I mean, come on, man. This was all intentional, I'm telling you. I could be wrong, that's just my opinion. But this may prove difficult given there is little change in corporate or government leadership. Right here. The big hope is 78-year-old Joe Biden, who was U.S. Vice President for 8 years, during which many of these problems were mounting, not being solved. So I just wanted to point that out for anybody who's still stuck thinking that Joe Biden is doing anything good for us. No, he's behind the Great Reset. He's working right along with them. Biden's agenda for the economy is now being spearheaded by Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. She is the former Federal Reserve Chair and has taken a particular interest in stamping out cryptocurrencies and expanding the reach of the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, which could ultimately be the issuer of a new global digital currency. Officials are now focusing their ire on crypto mining's energy usage. Since the Great Reset prescribes a transition to a sustainable economy, anything tied to resource consumption is now subject to being attacked. That is the way this whole thing is going to work. Anything that assumes or that consumes energy, they're coming for it, and you're going to pay for it. Do you understand what that means? That's why they're talking about carbon taxes and this and that and the other. Guess what? You breathe in oxygen and you put out carbon dioxide. Do you think they're not going to tax you for your breath? They'll find a way. These people are greedy. They're greedy and they're deceitful. It says Yellen, derided Bitcoin as, quote, an extremely inefficient way to conduct transactions because the amount of energy consumed in processing those transactions is staggering. Now look, I don't know much about Bitcoin and how it works and the amount of energy consumed in processing the transactions, but that just sounds to me like a bit of an over-exaggeration. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but it does. It sounds like an over-exaggeration to me. Now it says, I thought this was interesting. A report just released on Monday by Citi called Bitcoin at the Tipping Point makes the case that Bitcoin could become the currency of choice for international trade within 7 years. That assumes governments won't act in conjunction to ban or co-opt the technology to ensure they maintain legal tender monopolies. But I thought the government couldn't do anything with Bitcoin. I didn't think the government had any way of banning or co-opting the technology. So I don't understand that. I know everybody kept saying, no, the government can't come for it. The government can't come for it. Well, according to this, they can. So I don't know. Now, this was the part I really wanted you to see. Yellen and her global central planning cohorts are enthusiastic about the prospects for replacing circulating paper cash with digital tokens. They just want to make sure those digits are issued and controlled by governments and central banks. Well, I wonder why. Why do you reckon they'd want them to be controlled by governments and central banks? Oh, I forgot I did highlight this part too. This is important. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell told Congress last week that the Fed is indeed looking carefully at issuing a digital dollar, calling it a high priority project for us. Anyone who is concerned about the prospect of being herded into a new digital currency regime should make it a high priority to own tangible money that exists outside the financial system. No technology or government mandate can change the fact that gold and silver have universally recognized inflation-resistant value. So there you have it. The Great Reset is coming for the currency, which we already knew, but I just wanted you to see because it's, you know, this article's not too old. You know, March 2nd. So, yeah. Now, let's get on to the articles I wanted to show you that really disturbed me. This bothers me really bad, and if we don't do something about it, well, let me just say this. I want to show these to you, and I'm trying to make you aware so that whatever state that you live in, get online and start looking this stuff up to make sure that they're not passing bills like this one or anything like that where you live as far as your kids are concerned, because they are not going to send you something in the mail that notifies you what they're doing. They're doing this stuff behind your back. They're not making sure that you're notified about anything concerning your kids and their education and what they're being taught. So people need to be aware of this, for real. All right, so this is the first one. This is, let's see, the New York Post. This is March 6, 2021. New York lawmaker wants sex ed for kindergartners. Let me read that again. New York lawmaker wants sex ed for kindergartners. Remember the plan. They want to literally pervert the minds of our children. It's here. They are doing it. Wait until you hear what they want to teach these little babies. Babies. Get ready for the latest woke wave in education. Comprehensive sex ed for kids as young as 5, thanks to a new bill in the state Senate. Now, I've hunted for that bill, and I cannot find it. I found Bill S-4844, but reading the bill, just what little bit it gives you, it didn't say all the same things that it says in here, so I don't know if it's the same bill. And none of these articles, I've looked up several of them, none of them tell me what the bill is. So I'm going to try to see if I can find that. I'm going to keep looking, but as of right now, I don't know. You can find this article on it. You can find it by typing in transgender education for kindergartners. You can type that into your browser and it should come up. Legislation sponsored by State Senator Samra G. Brooke would tie New York's health curriculum. Again, New York. What is it with New York? I wonder. Eric Schmidt was supposed to build 5 new smart cities in New York by like 2030, which I think they actually canceled that. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but I do know that that's what New York and California are like. Literally, that is like Great Reset. Like they sped it up in those 2 states like crazy. That's like hotbed Great Reset, no lie. Because that's where most of the elites live in this nation. That's why it's changed as much as it has. Now we'll see what happens with Cuomo's freaky ass. I don't like that man. He got drunk on his power and they basically don't need him anymore. I guarantee you they end up firing him. Watch and see. I bet you they do. I'd put money on it. So the legislation would tie New York's health curriculum to standards written by a left-wing interest group that advocates sex ed for social change and would make those lessons mandatory statewide. Under the group's current standards, public and charter schools would have to teach 5-year-olds about gender identity and instruct 8-year-olds on hormone blockers to prevent puberty in transgender identifying preteens. Y'all know I don't like this. This is the kind of stuff that pisses me off. Kids as young as 11 would get lectures. Now, I don't even think I can read this part because it'll probably get the video blocked if my big mouth hasn't already said a bunch of stuff I shouldn't have said. But kids as young as 11 would get lectures on V, oral, and A, sex, study queer, two-spirit. I don't know what that is. What is that? Asexual, pansexual, and other gender identities, and receive explicit instruction on the use of external and internal those. I don't know what these are. I have no idea. And other contraceptives. I mean, guys, honestly, kids as young as 11 years old. Some parents are also worried. The state constitution, this is a quote, the state constitution guarantees a basic education, but nowhere does it say we have to prepare our kids to change their sex if they want to, said Sam Pirazzolo of the New York City Parents Union. Quote, we have schools where 95% of kids can't read or do math at grade level, and now they want to bring in these complicated social justice issues? That's BS. Thank you. A parent who's got his head on straight. And don't forget, in the plan, they want to remove your rights to raise your kids. They want the state to raise your children. In the Agenda 21 Great Reset layout, there are so many different things in there that remove parental rights. And they're going to do it through this equality, social justice, this whole gender stuff. That's how they're doing it. I'm going to have to find, I found a good video that breaks this down, and I can't find it. I saw it a long time ago before I started doing these videos, and it basically explains exactly how they're wording this crap that's going to take your rights away from you as a parent. And, I mean, they're already trying to pass, is it the Equality Act? And it basically, if your child comes to you and says that they want to have a change and or they want to be on certain medicines, you know what I'm talking about, to help bring about that change, and you refuse to do it, child services can step in. That is the state raising your kids. It's already gone too far coming to this point. I'm sorry. I'll stop going on and on. It just really pisses me off because people are not paying attention. Meanwhile, our kids are being turned into things that just are not natural. Even parents who approve of sex ed in school are queasy about the envelope-pushing topics the law would require. That means if you do not go along with these things and allow these things, then you can be punished by the law. You can face jail time, fines, whatever they want to do. If the law has anything to do with it, child services has something to do with it. So if you go against it, they can step in, and they will. And if you think they won't take them from you, they will, because they know better than you do. Quote, "It's inappropriate," said Ken Jewell, a Manhattan family law attorney whose 2 children attend New York City public elementary schools. "These are things kids that age are not capable of comprehending yet." Jewell favors early grade instruction on personal space and pedo protection, but thinks Brooks' measure goes too far. You think? Quote, "As a dad, I want my kid armed enough to know if something is wrong," he said, "but I don't want to put knowledge in their heads that takes away the innocence of childhood," which is exactly what they want to do. They want them to be mindless, obedient, submissive slaves. That's what they want. New York is one of 22 states that lacks a statewide sex ed requirement. State law leaves the topic to local school districts to decide, which it should, other than HIV/AIDS instruction, which is required for grades K through 12 using lesson plans, quote, "consistent with community values." So there's number one, New York Post, okay? So now we move on to this one. This is the Daily Wire. New York City school pushes students to stop saying mom, dad, parents, referring to people by gender. March 11th, 2021. So you have to ask yourself, why wouldn't they want them saying mom and dad and parents and stuff like that anymore? Because they're trying to distance you from your children. There's already the biggest divide as far as between us and our kids. Our kids run everything. We give them everything they want. They run the show. It's up to them. They're the bosses. I mean, I've seen that happening a lot. I see it with a lot of parents. So there's already a big problem. Now you have the breakdown of the family unit. That's completely went to crap. You know, it's non-existent anymore. It's like that doesn't even matter anymore. I mean, this is only another step in their plan to take them from you. I'm telling you. So the school is pushing for students to stop saying mom, dad, parents, and referring to people by gender. March 11, 2021. A school in New York City that charges $57,000 a year has published a guide sent to students and parents that encourages them to alter their language to conform to gender identity ideology, including pushing students to stop referring to their parents as mom and dad. You know, what they are, mom and dad. If it's two dads, say dad, dad. If it's two moms, say mom, dad. I mean, Grace Church School published a 12-page memo that encourages people... Wait a minute. I just realized. Grace Church School? Is that like a Catholic? I don't know. I missed that part the first time I read it. I'm only just now noticing it. Published a 12-page, that's interesting, published a 12-page memo that encourages people to stop using certain terms that it considers to be outdated and to replace those terms with inclusive terminology. Here we go again. It's the same thing that's all throughout the Great Reset Agenda 21 terminology. It's all in all their paper. Every bit of their plans and everything, the way they want to change the fabric of our society and our lives as we know it, it's all in there. Equality, inclusive, social justice, gender ideology. I mean, it's all there because they want to raise your kids. They are trying to take them from you. I cannot say it enough. Now, the memo states the following. Instead of saying boys and girls, guys, ladies, and gentlemen, say people, folks, friends, readers, mathematicians. See how they make everything so complicated? They are making things complicated. They're creating the racial issues. They're creating these gender problems. They're creating these ideologies, y'all. They are. And they've pushed it into our society. And they've created activist groups who are pushing the same thing because they've probably either paid them off or they've convinced them that they're really doing something good, and they're not. They're not. And we don't have to go along with this crap, and we shouldn't be. I'm sorry. I do not feel any ill will towards anybody who wants to live their life how they want. I'm a Christian. I have my values, my way of seeing things. I believe the Holy Word of God, and that's all there is to it, okay? And you can choose to believe whatever you want to believe. But don't push your ideologies and your way of life on me and expect me to go along with everything that you want to do and be all in my face about it. And now I have to change everything I'm doing to suit you when I'm not doing that to you. Go live your life in the privacy of your own life and leave me and the rest of us alone. That's what we want. But these people don't want that. These people want to be all up in your face. This is what you got to call me now. No, you need to pay attention to me. No, you need to be in my space. No, I don't. I don't want to be in your space. I don't care about your gender terms. I don't care about your ideology. I just want to be left alone and leave my damn kids alone. Instead of saying sweetheart, honey, and similar pet names, which screws me because I call everybody baby, sweetie, honey, sugar, say child's name or child/friend in the blue shirt. Instead of assuming gender based on stereotypes, people should respectfully ask how they identify if familiar establishing a culture of sharing affirming pronouns in club. What the hell? Yeah, I'm already out. I don't. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not asking you how you want me to identify you because, no. Instead of saying mom and dad, say grown-ups, folks, or family. Instead of saying parents, say grown-ups, folks, family, and guardians. My guardians, my family, my folks, my grown-ups. What? I mean, this is ridiculous. Instead of saying husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, say spouse, partner, significant other. This is stupid. Instead of saying a boy can't marry a boy or a girl can't marry a girl, say people can love and commit to whomever they please. It's their choice who they marry. I mean, they literally want to change our entire language. If someone articulates sexual orientation as a choice rather than an identity, respond by saying who we love or are attracted to is part of who we are. I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to let y'all do it or whatever, but what does this say? I never did read this entire article, only part of it. After the guidelines drew attention and backlash online, George Davidson, the head of Grace Church School, pushed back against the notion that anyone was required to use the more inclusive language. We're not, quote, we're not telling people not to call their parents mom and dad. That's the silliest thing anybody ever came up with. And it's not even a word police. It is rather a guide to inclusive language if you want to use it, said Davidson. But I guarantee you, just like with this kind of crap, okay, these are things that eventually they're going to start. Look, if they're sending memos home like this, if they're going to push this kind of crap, which is going to be educating your kids to talk this way, then eventually it's going to change their whole language anyways. It doesn't matter whether you're just making a suggestion if you want to do it. No, that's a total flat out lie when places like this right here are going to put it into the education system. This is stupid. I wouldn't doubt it if these people already have some type of curriculum that's coming or is already in their school that's starting to teach this kind of crap. That is where it's going if it's not already there. And everybody knows it. So let's get real, George Davidson. And then finally, I wanted to show you this one from CBN News. Let's see here. This one. Puberty blocker lessons for 8-year-olds. This is actually about this that we went over. But down here, I had highlighted a little bit of this. And there was something in here I wanted to show you. As I was saying, you need to check in the state that you live in to find out if they are pushing this type of curriculum in your child's school. And you need to do it soon before it's too late for you to make your voice heard that you don't want this kind of crap in your kid's head. Okay? Washington State Legislature passed a controversial law, passed it in March of last year, requiring sex education in all public schools in the state beginning in kindergarten. Now look, I don't care for them teaching kindergartners about the predators out there. Like, hey, you know, stranger danger, and, you know, these people can do things to you that are not good, and you need to learn to stay away from those strangers. And if anybody, you know, those kind of things, just like that father said in this article right here when he said, you know, I don't have any problem with them teaching them about, you know, the predators and about how to identify when something is wrong, when you need to get out of a situation, you know, when somebody's not good. Those things, yes, but some of that other stuff that they're talking about, come on, man, that's not, oops, I shouldn't even say that. I sound like Biden. One Republican lawmaker described the curriculum as too explicit, you think? Quote, I'm offended at the pornography that we're going to be forced to teach our children. He's saying it's literally that they're going to be forced to teach these kids. Said State Representative Robert Sutherland, according to KREM-TV, I'm offended at what this government is doing to the parents out there. Do you think? Because the government wants to raise your kids. That's why. The law reportedly allows parents and or guardians to opt their children out of the sex health education instruction at any time, but many may not be aware of the graphic nature of these programs. That's my point. They don't just come out and announce these things. They're not going to send letters home that's going to detail everything that's in it. They're not going to make it to where you are 100% informed. It's your responsibility. They're not going to notify you. That's how they get these kind of bills and stuff passed. you know, they may send something out that might briefly touch on it, like, you know, we're talking to them about this in general, but the parent's not thinking that they're going to go into PORN. I mean, come on. Some of that stuff that they said that they were going to be teaching them in this, or was this it? Yeah, this was it. Where's it at? Whoa, where did it go? Oh, is it this one? No. Where did it go? What did I do with it? Oh, yeah, it is this one. My bad. I'm sorry, y'all. I get off on these little rants. I'm sorry. I was trying not to make this video too long. I've been on for about an hour and 5 minutes, so I'm fixing to go ahead and wrap it up. But this right here, I mean, come on. 11 years old. Look, 5-year-olds, they're teaching them about this, and they're teaching 8-year-olds about these medicines and to prevent this from happening. I mean, come on. Anyways, you know, in the last several videos I did, you know, aside from the Great Reset, you know, I touched on some other bills and stuff that they're trying to pass that is affecting our kids. They are coming after our children. And if we don't wake up and see what's going on and start pushing back, they're going to win. They're going to win. So we got to have voices out there. So New York, man, y'all, I don't know how in the world people are living up there. If I've got anybody watching from New York, my heart goes out to you, because I don't know how in the hell you're dealing with all this. I mean, everything that they're throwing at you between COVID lockdowns and all the measures that they're putting in place, I mean, it's ridiculous. There is no pandemic. I'm sorry, there isn't. There never has been. There's just not. And as long as there are people who continue to go along with it, who continue to believe that there is, this is just going to push forward, because COVID is the Great Reset. The chaos is the Great Reset. That's why they're winning, because we need people to realize that they're being deceived. You know, like I've said so many times, I live in a very small town, okay? But so as far as me being able to go out in a big city and just open my big mouth to people everywhere, I don't really have that option, okay? But I will say this, I talk to people all the time. I never have a conversation with anybody about COVID or about any of these things without mentioning something, without flat out being honest about how I feel about it and what I believe and what I know to be true. And I think that everybody needs to do that. Just flat out say, I believe they're lying about all of it. None of it makes any sense. None of it adds up. Throw out a few facts here and there, just put a seed here and there, and then let it go. I mean, I know there's some people that you're just not going to be able to wake up. That's just how it is. Some people just want to live in La La Land, I guess. I don't know. I'd rather know the truth than be living in La La Land. It can be a lonely place, but we're in it together. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm hoping and praying that we're going to pull out of it. I guess we'll just see what happens. There's been, so I've had several people that subscribe to my channel over the last, I'd say the last week. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I don't get to post a whole lot on here right now just because I've been so busy lately. I just haven't had much time to stop and put anything up. But I'm hoping that that's going to change soon, and I'll start having a little bit more free time to be able to get on here and throw stuff up here. I'm trying not to make my videos quite so long, because I know people don't want to sit and listen to me rant for an hour, hour and a half. You know, I could keep going, but I don't want y'all to have to put up with me much longer. But thank you to those that subscribed, and thank you to everybody else who's hung around and watches my videos. I really do appreciate it. I hope that I'm bringing you some kind of information that maybe you can share with somebody or show somebody, because this kind of stuff right here, what they want for our kids isn't good. Oh, and another thing, if there's anybody who is, I know a few people subscribe to my channel from Ryan's channel, from The Last American Vagabond. If there's anybody on my channel who doesn't know or has not watched The Last American Vagabond or hasn't heard of him or his channels or any of that, you got to go check him out. The information that he is putting out, y'all, is phenomenal. He goes over scientific research. He goes over random control trials. He proves and backs up everything that he says, all scientific information. He keeps up with everything that's going on with the vaxes. He keeps up with everything going on with COVID. He keeps up with stuff that's going on overseas. He is awesome. His videos can be long sometimes. I prefer them that way, but I just watch what I can and then go back and catch up on what I didn't. But regardless, he is one of the best, if not the best. He deserves awards for what he's doing. He's being censored, shadow banned, the whole 9 yards. I'm going to put a link to his channel down below, and I'm hoping that you will all go check him out because he's the place to be right now for information on COVID and everything that's going on. He's the best of the best. The Last American Vagabond. Anyways, that's where I'm going to end for now. I love y'all. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to post anything in a while, but I will see you again soon, and I'm praying for you. God bless you. Peace out.